Okay, so today I'm going to do something just a tad different that I haven't done on video before. Got 3 new pieces of equipment that I've been asked to work on. Got a walk behind trimmer. It's a weed trimmer that you walk behind. I've only seen that one other time in real life. I've got a self-propelled Toro push mower. Well, it's self-propelled, so it's not really push. And I got a Craftsman chainsaw. Now this one is more of a sentimental item here. The lady who gave it asked me to work on it. Said her husband just recently passed away, and I'm really getting the impression that she wants it like it was when he was alive. She had some guy work on it. She said he messed it up even worse than it was. Now this one here, the Toro, she said she didn't want to buy a lot of parts, she didn't have to. And then the Craftsman, same lady that owns the Toro gave me the Craftsman chainsaw. And I'm kind of getting the impression it probably runs. She just wants it to maintain, you know, maintenance stuff, cleaned up. See if there's anything wrong with it, sharpen the blade. What we're gonna do is identify what's wrong with it, diagnose it, and then order parts. Now I'm not gonna order parts online. It's really simple. What you gotta do is you gotta find the parts to that motor. Now, like on Briggs & Stratton, they always have the number of the machine somewhere, and in this case it's right above the muffler, and so you type that in. You can even go to Briggs & Stratton's webpage. It's a little bit easier to find the Briggs & Stratton webpage. Find the parts there. Of course, they're a little bit high, they're pricey, and then you go over to Amazon, you just put the part number in Amazon, and Amazon usually finds it. So we're going to get started with this one. The first thing I see is it's missing a cover here, some sort of decorative cover. My guess is it's a similar cover to this here. I think this one's backwards though. Yeah, that's backwards. I mean, this is some other customer. I was just using it as an example. So the elbow would have to be here instead of where it is. I asked about the cover, and she said, yeah, I like to have it as close to original condition as possible. Anytime you diagnose anything, your best tool to have is starter fluid, because I always start there with starter fluid. It just seems to me like that's the easiest thing to get started with. That'll tell you whether it's a carburetor or ignition. There's only 3 things that can be wrong with a lawnmower: fuel, not getting fuel, not getting ignition, or you have bad compression. So start out with, is it getting fuel? We're going to remove the air filter here, and you don't even have to have gas in it. I mean, I put some gas in it before I made the video, started the video, but you don't have to have gas in it to test to see if it's carburetor, ignition, compression. We're going to spray a little starting fluid in it. In order to do that, just put it right into the carburetor hole. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the oil. Should have done that already. Got distracted with the video. So there's enough oil in there to get it started. It should have at least started if it was getting ignition. It would have started and died. For however long that starter fluid would have lasted, it would have ran. But we're not even getting that. So now the next step is take the spark plug out. Once you have the spark plug out, then you're going to test for gap. And what you're going to do is you want 30 thousandths, in between 30 and 35 thousandths. So we're going to get our feeler gauges. And I know it's hard to see on camera, but believe me, there is a number right here that says 0.035 or 0.88 millimeters. 0.035, that's 35 thousandths. And then we're going to find 30. And so now we're going to gap it. Okay, 30 goes in it. Now we're going to check 35. Hey, check that out. 35 does not go in, so that's good. Wow, that's pretty incredible. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the spark plug wire back on the spark plug. and we're going to test for spark. I'm thinking that's the wrong spark plug. I bet that is the wrong spark plug. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold the spark plug up against a piece of metal on the, so it's grounded. And then we got to pull the rope, which is a challenge. A lot of things going on. Okay, so there is spark. I know you probably didn't see it, but there is spark there. So I'm going to put this back in. And I think what I'm going to do with this one, since she wants it back to original condition anyways, is I'm just going to do a tune-up on it. Tune-up costs about, I don't know, $60, something, maybe $80. And what that entails is I'll get a new starting coil, ignition coil, excuse me. I always call it the wrong thing. Ignition coil is what attaches to the spark plug wire. So that runs up underneath the engine here. That'll also probably give me a spark plug out of it. I'm going to order a new carburetor because I'm pretty sure there's something wrong with this carburetor, because first things first, the priming bulb isn't working. Okay, so I kind of had my feelings confirmed off camera. I tried to start it again. I put a little bit more oomph behind it, and I kind of got a pop backfiring noise type of thing. So that tells me it is getting spark. So I'm going to spray some more carb fluid in it, so, or starting fluid, so you can hear it. First of all, I can smell gas. So the carburetor is leaking. It just seems to me the spark plug and the ignition coil is misfiring. It's just not acting right. So again, I think a good tune-up would be in place. There's a fuel filter down here. It looks like aftermarket. Somebody put it in afterwards, and probably needs replacing. When I have the carburetor off, I'll have to replace that also. Okay, and this one I'm going to just put a little splash of gas in it. Take the air filter off. It would appear that a mouse got a hold of it, so we're already buying parts. I would say the priming bulb is bad on this one too. Okay, so it ran until the carburetor ran out of starting fluid, and then it died. So it did exactly what it should have done, indicating a bad carburetor. The other thing I noticed is the rope probably needs lubricated. Guaranteed to start on the first or second pull. I wonder how long that guarantee lasts. So I'd take the top off this to see the model number of the machine, and I found it is a Tecumseh. Now I like Tecumseh engines. I had one, I bought a lawnmower back in the early 2000s and it ran forever. I sold it, it was still running. But they don't make these anymore, so I'm a little concerned. I've not even seen parts for them since I've started this all back up. So I'll get the model number and hope we can find a carburetor. Otherwise, I might be trying to fix this one. So she told me it was a Craftsman. The outer case says Craftsman, but this is a home light. They don't make these anymore. You can still find some parts for it, but I don't know. We're gonna, I'm sure, struggle finding parts. So same procedure. What only difference is we're gonna check to make sure that it's got some bar oil in it. Yeah, it's got a little bit. And then we're gonna put a little bit of gas in it. Yep. Now this is 2 cycle, so you got to have your 2 cycle oil mixed in with your gas. I'm sure this is going to need all the hoses, and if there's a priming bulb. I don't even know if there's a priming bulb. Yeah, there's a priming bulb. Yep, priming bulb broke. So definitely going to need a priming bulb. I'm going to see if I can get this up to the camera. Boy, they don't make them like they used to. Can't lose the screws on this cover. Out there in the forest, cutting down trees, all of a sudden you have a carburetor issue, or you need to clean the air filter. So you unscrew all the screws and you lose half of them nowadays. I'm taking the air filter off. It actually looks pretty clean. And again, this woman doesn't want to spend a lot of money, so I don't know if I should buy air filters or not. Not looking good for the ignition coil. The on button, yeah, it's on. So let's take the spark plug wire off. Sorry. And then we'll take the spark plug off. Chainsaw tools always have a spark plug wrench on them. Spark plug looks in, I don't know, feeler gauge out. So we want 30 thousandths, so we need a little bit more gap. $30 thousandths went in, 35 does not. Once again, we're going to find a piece of metal to set this on. I'm going to use a pair of pliers so I don't electrocute myself. I have a hard time holding the camera, the chainsaw, and the spark plug all at the same time. So you don't always get to see if it's sparking. Yeah, it sparks. So I think once again, I'm going to give this a complete tune-up. I know she doesn't want to buy parts, but these things have been sitting around forever, both these machines. And this is very old. So I think it's better to get it right and to order the parts and do it the first time. To recap real quick, don't want to spend a lot of time on it. The trimmer, we're going to try to make as new as possible. So carburetor, new spark plug, new air filter, new fuel filter, new carburetor, new ignition coil. The Toro doesn't want to spend a lot of money on, and we need a new carburetor on that. That shouldn't be too bad. I don't think I want to rebuild it. I think it'll cost more. The Craftsman / Home Light, we're going to do a tune-up on that one. We're going to get a carburetor and a new ignition coil, new spark plug. We're going to redo the primer bulb. You probably have to do all the hoses. Once the primer bulb goes, pretty good indication the fuel lines are bad too. So that's how you diagnose an engine. Start out with starting fluid. After that, pretty simple. If it doesn't start with the starting fluid, you move on to the ignition coil, check for spark. And like with the trimmer, it had an erratic spark. I would imagine there is so much wrong with the carburetor on the Home Light that, you know, the air hoses, there's probably a nest in there. Maybe the carb starter fluid isn't getting down into the cylinder. Maybe there's a wasp nest in there. Hard telling. Like I said, that Troy had a mouse nest, or a mouse ate through the air filter. So if you'll click this up next box to take the video to something I was working on, so hope I can inspire you to diagnose your problems when you're living your dreams. Thanks for watching.